You don't choose when it starts. You don't schedule it. You don't call ahead. It simply begins, deep in the night or midday under an open sky, and your body takes over completely. For roughly 300,000 years, this was the only way a human being entered the world. No hospitals, no epidurals, no sterile rooms with monitors tracking every heartbeat. Just you, the women around you, the knowledge passed down through generations, and an anatomy shaped by millions of years of evolution to do exactly this. And yet, here's what almost no one tells you. Ancient human childbirth was not the unrelenting catastrophe we imagine. In some ways, it was something our modern world has quietly, accidentally made harder. Let's reconstruct what actually happened. You are a woman in a small band of hunter-gatherers, somewhere on the African savanna, roughly 70,000 years ago. Your band moves. It hunts. It forages. You walk, on average, between 6 and 9 miles a day. Your body is lean and strong, in a way that most modern humans never experience. Your hips have never spent 8 hours in a chair. Your core has never been switched off by a sedentary life. You have been physically preparing for this moment your entire life, not through any deliberate exercise, but simply by living. The first contractions come. You know what they mean? So does every woman near you. Anthropologist Wenda Trevethan has spent decades studying the evolution of human birth, and one of her central findings is this. Human childbirth almost certainly became a social event long before it became a medical one. Unlike nearly every other primate, human infants are born facing away from their mothers, a rotational quirk caused by the expansion of our skull to house a large brain. This means a laboring woman cannot easily guide her own infant out safely. She needs help, not because something is wrong, because something is profoundly, evolutionarily correct about asking for it. The women around you are not strangers to this. In a small band of 20 to 50 people, birth is not a rare event witnessed by only a few. It is a recurring, shared, observed experience. The older women in your group have seen it dozens of times. Some have delivered dozens of infants. Their knowledge is not written down. It lives in their hands. You move. This is the part that surprises most modern people. Ancient laboring women did not lie on their backs. That position, so standard in contemporary hospitals that we barely question it, only became dominant in Western obstetric practice in the 17th and 18th centuries, largely because male physicians found it more convenient for observation. Historically, women gave birth squatting, kneeling, standing, or supported on all fours. Gravitational studies and modern midwifery research alike confirm what ancient bodies already knew. Upright positions shorten labor, reduce the intensity of certain complications, and let the pelvis open more fully. So you squat. Women hold your arms. Someone applies pressure to your lower back with knowing hands. You breathe in patterns that no one taught you explicitly. Your body reached for them on its own, the way it reaches for sleep when exhausted. At the site of Çatalhöyük in modern Turkey, one of the oldest known human settlements, occupied from around 7,500 BCE, archaeologists have found skeletal remains of women buried alongside evidence of repeated successful childbearing. Their pelvises show the characteristic bone remodeling that comes with multiple births. These were not women who gave birth once and barely survived. These were women who did it again and again and lived long enough to become the grandmothers of their communities. Because grandmothers mattered enormously. Evolutionary biologist Kristen Hawkes developed what is now called the grandmother hypothesis. The idea that the post-reproductive lifespan unique to human women exists, at least in part, because grandmothers dramatically increased the survival odds of their grandchildren. A grandmother who was present at birth was not a bystander. She was a critical piece of the survival infrastructure. She knew which plants reduced bleeding. She knew how to clear an airway. She knew how to position the infant for its first breath. This knowledge was not instinct. It was earned, birth by birth, generation by generation, and passed directly from hands to hands. There is a plant called shepherd's purse. Its scientific name is Capsella bursa-pastoris, but its chemistry is what matters. It contains compounds that stimulate uterine contractions and help control postpartum hemorrhage. Ethnobotanical records from dozens of cultures across Africa, the Americas, and Eurasia show independent, repeated use of this plant specifically for childbirth. It is not one culture's discovery. It is humanity's discovery. Made over and over, wherever the plant grows, by women who were paying close attention. Ancient humans had a pharmacopoeia. It was not written, it was practiced. At Blombos Cave on the southern tip of South Africa, a site that has yielded evidence of symbolic thought and tool use dating back 100,000 years, archaeologists have also found traces of ochre processing. Red ochre, the same pigment applied in birth rituals across dozens of traditional cultures. The connection is not provable, but the continuity is striking. Humans were marking important transitions in red long before history began. Your labor lasts hours, not days, though that happens too. But the average labor for a multiparous woman, a woman who has given birth before, was likely not dramatically different from today. Primatologist and anthropologist Sarah Blaffer-Hrdy has argued that the evolution of human cooperative breeding, our tendency to share infant care across a group, began precisely because birth and early infancy are so demanding that a single mother alone is not the optimal survival unit. The infant arrives. It is small, smaller, relative to its adult size, than almost any other primate's newborn. Because the compromise between a large brain skull and a pelvis wide enough to walk upright means human babies are born, in a sense, prematurely. Their brains will more than double in size in the first year of life. They are helpless in ways that other primates' newborns are not. But you are not alone. The infant is passed. It is held. It is placed skin to skin against a warm body immediately. Not because anyone read a study about the benefits of kangaroo care, but because cold kills and bodies know warmth. The cord is not cut with modern instruments. At many archaeological and ethnographic sites, evidence suggests cords were chewed, cut with stone tools, or tied and left to dry. Infection from this was far less common than you might expect. Not zero, but managed, survivable in many cases, and mitigated by practices we are still cataloging. The afterbirth comes. This too is attended to. In many traditional cultures documented by anthropologists, the placenta is buried, a ritual act that is also a practical one, since it removes biological material that could attract predators. Then something happens that no hospital protocol captures. Everyone around you exhales. The tension that held the air changes. Someone laughs. The infant cries, and someone makes a sound back at it. Not words, not yet, but something that will become words, pass back and forth in that ancient call and response that every parent in every era reaches for instinctively. The rate of maternal mortality in prehistoric populations is genuinely difficult to estimate. Skeletal analysis, like the work done by paleoanthropologist Tracy Ardren and her colleagues examining skeletal populations across multiple continents, suggests that young adult female death, the window of peak reproductive years, was indeed elevated compared to older females. Birth carried real risk. It always has. But the picture is not one of universal tragedy. It is one of community, accumulated knowledge, physical preparation, and a body that had been shaped by millions of years of selection pressure specifically to survive this moment. Your body knows things your conscious mind does not. It knows to release oxytocin in waves that create not just contractions, but bonding, a hormonal architecture of attachment that begins before the infant takes its first breath and continues for years. It knows to produce colostrum in the first days before full milk comes in, a substance so packed with antibodies that modern neonatology considers it liquid gold. It knows to shift your pain perception during active labor in ways that are still not fully understood. You did not invent any of this. It was given to you by every ancestor who survived long enough to pass it on. Here is the thing about modern childbirth that the data keeps circling back to. The interventions that save lives, the ones that genuinely, measurably reduce maternal and infant mortality, are surgical access for obstructed labor, treatment for infection, management of hemorrhage, and neonatal care for premature infants. These are real, profound, life-saving advances. But somewhere alongside those advances, the social architecture of birth was quietly dismantled. The grandmothers were sent to the waiting room. The laboring woman was placed on her back. The duration of labor was measured against the clock. The knowledge that lived in hands was replaced by knowledge that lived in protocols. The science is now slowly, carefully, building back what ancient women already knew. That continuous support during labor, a doula, a midwife, a trusted presence, reduces the rate of intervention. That upright positions help. That skin-to-skin contact immediately after birth stabilizes the newborn's temperature, heart rate, and blood sugar. That the room should be quiet and warm and safe feeling because the laboring body reads the environment and responds to it. For 300,000 years, you already knew that. You wake up the morning after, your infant against your chest, and the savannah looks exactly as it did yesterday. Same orange sky, same acacia trees, same band of people who know your name. But the world has one more person in it, and for the first time since it began, you chose when to sleep.